Yeah, I think that, if you can find one thing you're grateful for every single day, you can just find one thing. It can even be the same thing that you're continually grateful for. That's going to be absolutely essential and important for your overall well-being and your feeling of happiness throughout the day.
Life is all about relationships. Lovers, family, body, or money. How satisfied you are can be completely explained by how you relate to things around you. This is Sophie Jaffe, and together with my husband, Dr. D. Jaffe, we are here to explore and teach you how to maximize your relationships and achieve a happier life. Let's get ignited.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Ignited Relationships Podcast. I am Adi Jaffe.
And I'm Sophie Jaffe.
And we're coming to you post-glow.
Yes, we are in the glow. We are in the post-glow.
Afterglow,
Afterglow.
I randomly
I love that.
remembered right when I was on stage in the middle of it. For those of you who were there, you know how amazing it was. We don't have to tell you. Thank you for all the amazing messages and everything you've sent us. Honestly, it was beyond my expectations. I don't know about yourself.
Above and beyond expectations with 99% thanks to Maddie. But honestly,
I'm going to say like 96.
Okay.
I did a good amount of stuff.
96 and like the people that came, their energy.
Yeah, good call. Hi truck. It was incredible. I mean, first of all our friends who showed up just killed it.
And all the speakers and all the teachers and all the practitioners and our family, our friends, just the community, the Ignited community. You know, this is the first in-person event that we've done other than the book signing product party that we did, which was super casual and just our close friends. This was the first in-person.
That was like the week Maddie started.
Yeah.
That event.
Yeah. And this is the first Ignited community podcast event that we have created. So to see what that means and to see how amazing all of you are and to meet you in the flesh and give you hugs and hear what your favorite episodes are, what your takeaways are, where you listen to it and why, and how it's been along with you for your journey and inspired you to grow and be radically transparent and vulnerable in your life and make huge changes, sometimes small, but most of you shared in person with me while we were there, huge changes in your life, thanks to Ignited Recovery, Adi's, recovery course, or all the things that we've been sharing on the podcast, like small and large. So thank you so much for just showing up and being part of this community. That's really what it was just a huge celebration of this world.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was as Sophie just said, it was so nice to meet you guys in person. I heard so many amazing stories. I literally got on a phone call and a FaceTime with two people who couldn't be there, but their family members were there and just sharing the impact that Ignited has had on your life. So, I know I talked about it at Globe. We're sitting in my office in our basement essentially right now doing this. We've been doing that for 2 years. For 2 years. And it gets, it's lonely. It's like the two of us just sitting in a room, just talking.
And it's also like disconnected, like with Instagram or Facebook, there's a community aspect of gathering and talking and chatting. You post something and then there's a conversation or there's a private message. And with podcasting, it's separated from that because you can't just say what you're thinking when you're listening. It doesn't go anywhere. Like you can say what you're thinking, but it's not going to go anywhere. It's not immediately going to be a message to us. It's not easy.
You want us to figure out, we're going to try to figure out how to do this. We've done it with the VIP group a handful of times before. We're going to try to get a little bit more engagement, even during the recording, whether it's a phone call or something like that, to be able to talk to you guys.
Connect with all of you. Yeah.
But yeah, it's lonely. So just to meet you guys in person and actually understand the impact is amazing. Some of you have left that impact through reviews, and we really, really appreciate that. Sophie, I think you actually have one that is pretty magical for us today.
Thank you, Adi and Sophie. With your podcast, you have given me the tools and skills to help understand the two biggest things I struggle with on a daily basis: addiction and relationships. These have ruled my life in a negative way since childhood. I always sought this help from my parents, but never received it from them. At 41 now, I'm finally working through it. So I don't only thank you for everything, my wife and my 5 kids thank you. And that was written on our anniversary, October 11th.
Oh, that's amazing.
Anthony from Arizona, 5 stars.
Well, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Anthony, I wish you were a glow. But that's what it's all about. So thank you. For those of you who have had impact and haven't left a review, please do. And
we love your reviews.
Love
like we said, it's really hard to connect to all of you because you're listening on your own and there's no like public forum to really, there will be, but right now there's no public forum to really engage and connect unless you take the time to email us, which we're obsessed with your emails. We all read them internally and go crazy over them. But it's not as easy as other forms of social. So just know that your reviews mean the world to us and we will read them live.
Yes, absolutely.
So today we have amazing guests, our friends Tamal and Victoria, who wrote a cookbook called The Yoga Plate. And I wanted to start by sharing one of my morning mantras that I wrote. And this just inspires me in the morning to start fresh and start out on the best foot. So I wanted to share it with you. Morning mantra. I begin this day with a full and open heart. I am whole. I experience life from a place of simplicity, love, and appreciation. I work hard because it feels good. I share my love, smile, and heart with complete generosity. I refuse to dim my light from fear. I am here to serve from a place of love. I hold nothing back. I am whole.
Nice.
And I have one for midday check-in and an evening prayer, and it's the same idea. I'll share that later on, but essentially it's just reminders for me to start my day out checking in and dropping in and focusing on what's really important. And when it's written out in that way, it's really easy to check in and to start out with this energy instead of getting frantically dropped into the day and things being drawn, my attention being taken away and distracted. This is like, okay, this is what I'm focusing on: being whole, being loving, expressing, appreciating, gratitude. And this month, November, is all about gratitude.
Yeah, I wonder, if there was only a holiday this month that would celebrate gratitude?
Yeah, I'm so happy. And this comes out 2 days before our Friendsgiving. And that's, our family is our friends. Our friends are our family. And I'm so grateful that your mom just came to visit.
Absolutely.
Family is everything. And I'm so excited to have a huge gathering in our new home at our new outdoor table and just celebrate our lives and around people we love. It's so important. After going away on my retreat, after Ignited Glow, like I realized that I've been just running myself kind of ragged, and for good reason. We've been in kind of survival mode, getting our new home and really trying to connect to the up-leveling that's been occurring. And I think that going away and having those 5 days to reflect and get some perspective really allowed me to realize it's time to slow down. And the next few months, that's my complete focus, is just to like really have gratitude for what we've created and to sit in that. Not necessarily a sacred pause. I don't necessarily need to pause, but I really want to slow down. That's what like winter months are for, really to reflect and be in it, be snugly in it.
Well, I want to get back to that quote, that
mantra
reading that you had, because, at Glow, a lot of people during and after were telling me how they felt the energy and the people and they felt connected and they felt inspired while the event was going on. And you were talking about the importance of starting your day out like that. It's not a coincidence. I mean, yes, the Ignited community is amazing. And so people came ready to sink in. But if you remember on day one, people were a little more apprehensive and not really sure how it was going to happen. They didn't know anybody. But every morning we started with setting intention. Every morning we started with gratitude. And we talked about on day one how important of a habit that is. I start my day off like that every day. You started off. Mm-hmm. It's not a coincidence that you end up being able to be more grateful if you start your day by focusing on gratitude.
Totally.
Your brain attunes to the gratitude and it starts seeing the things you are grateful for in the morning and also the ability to find more things to be grateful for. In that reading that you had, it talked about your place in the world, and it didn't talk about it from the, I must beat everybody else and be first in the race and I got to kick ass or people will destroy me.
The quote is, I work hard because it feels good.
Yeah. It feels good. What is my place in the world? What do I want my place to be in the world? And I want you guys to just, as we fall into this month of gratitude, we talked about it at Glow, but a lot of you weren't there. Gratitude is a practice, like everything else in life.
Yeah.
You would never in your life say the following words. Well, I did yoga last week and it was a really good practice, so I'm good with yoga, I'm done. Or, I ate a salad last month, so I don't need to eat a salad anymore. I got all my vegetables, that's taken care of. I worked out and I lifted really hard last week, so I'm good there. Or I saw my family a week ago. I called them yesterday. I never need to talk to them again. We understand in so many areas of life that what we get is literally an outcome of the practices we put in place.
Right.
You want to have a really good relationship? Check in with your partner. Go on date nights. Why? Not because that date night matters, because the attention you're giving it. And that practice and starting every day with a mantra like that puts your brain in the space to have the kind of day that you want. Exactly. And so don't wait. Part of the reason I'm saying this is don't wait till Thanksgiving to be grateful. Like just start right now. Yeah. Literally, like maybe even push pause right now and just think to yourself, what are 2, 3, 4 things in your life in this moment that you're grateful for? The more you lock into that, the more time you spend. And I am, again, those of you who met me at Glow, like I did not come from this orientation. I was always looking for the things to fix. I still always look for the things to fix. That's even why it's more important to put gratitude as often as you can throughout your day.
Focus it.
It'll just change the way your brain works.
It really anchors you into what matters. Like setting intentions for the day, remembering what you're grateful for, just that little perspective shift. Instead of focusing on the negative, focusing on the positive. Like if you start to go down that kind of rabbit hole of like comparing yourself or like different traps that we go down, the minute you can feel, it's a different energy, right? It's like contracting versus expanding. Yeah. The minute you feel that in your body and you feel tense or like tummy upset, like there's so many physiological signs that we get. If you're not consciously aware I'm having negative thoughts about myself or others, notice your body. Yeah. Notice are you breathing? If you're not, you're probably in a negative cycle. And if you are, all you have to do is come back to gratitude.
Yeah.
Deep breath in, long breath out. Allow there to be some space in between the thoughts and then start to redo the thought process.
You know what I love? You said something, instead of going down the spiral of negativity, I'd say it like this, right? The way your brain works is you're going to go down a path regardless.
In and out.
You're going to go down a path. You get to choose the path. Part of what I'm saying is the way your brain works is if you start focusing on negativity, your brain will find more negativity and you'll see more negativity around you. So it's like you don't really have much of a choice in the fact that your brain likes doing what it is used to doing. The only question is, do you want to just let that happen haphazardly? Just let it pick the path based on what happens. This is, by the way, why I recommend always, and it's hard for me, but I do it myself. Don't look at your phone for the first 20, 30 minutes of the day.
Yep.
Because if you look at your phone for the first 20, 30 minutes, like right away, I used to look at my phone the moment I would wake up, I would go to my phone and open up email. What you're letting people do is you're letting their influence control your day. Don't let them pick the door you open for the day. Make it a practice. Get up out of bed. I move first, then I do my gratitude check-in, and then I sort of set up what I want my day to look like.
Hey, you're in charge of it. You're in charge of your day. You're in charge of your day. You're in charge of the moment. The minute that, like I can feel now because my awareness is so fine-tuned after this retreat that I taught, which is interesting. I just got back from a yoga retreat that I led. I started teaching yoga after doing a training with Tamal.
Oh my God, that's so true.
And, I feel him come through me. I feel all my teachers come through me. I feel Rose of Sharon, who didn't actually teach me in a sense of like, I didn't do a training with her, but she was my first yoga teacher. So I hear her voice come through me, different ways that she taught come through me, different words she says.
She did such an amazing practice at Glow.
She's amazing.
So powerful.
She's amazing. Rose of Sharon, you're the best. And I hear and feel Baron Baptiste come through me and little teachings that he did and ways that he would describe body parts physiologically. I feel Tamal come through me, his loving spirit and soul. I hear his music. I hear him playing the guitar in Shavasana sometimes. Like, you are your teachers are you. Like, we're all just connected and we're just recreating that magic for other people. And I am now in such a heightened sense of awareness of what there is to be grateful for, how beautiful my life is, and how important it is to celebrate those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to make shifts, because everything is roses. Not everything is perfect for anyone. How to make shifts. And that's what this month is about for Ignited. On the podcast, we're talking about gratitude all month, but in a very realistic, tangible way.
Yeah.
Not like, oh my God, everything's so perfect. I love my life, every aspect. My family relations are great. My husband and I, my boyfriend and I. Heck, you might not even have a significant other right now. How can we find the gratitude in all the moments of the waves, of the rabbit holes, of the spirals? How can we bring ourselves back, be anchored in truth, which is very simple. I have a strong, beautiful body. I have 2 legs. I have 2 arms. I have a bed. I have a roof over my head. I have drinking water that is clean, hot when I need it. Like, start at the very bottom.
Yeah. And by the way, for some of you listening right now who don't have 2 legs, or like you lost an arm, like
for
no matter
you,
what it is,
totally.
What Sophie's saying is like align with the gratitude for you. And that's, I think what's so important about that message is too many of us have this false belief that we're going to get the things that are going to make us happy. We'll get the money, or we'll get the house, or we'll get the car, we'll get the girlfriend, the husband, the wife, the kids. None of those things deliver the happiness. Now, don't get me wrong. They can help, they can supplement, but you have to start from a strong base of self-assuredness and just this core belief that what is presently there is enough.
Yep.
And once you do that, you can build on the rest. And so, yeah, we all have to start with where we are. And yeah, Tamal, I mean, you'll hear it when you listen to him here, but
he's an angel.
He's amazing. And the book they wrote is such a beautiful piece. They talk about, I don't want to give it away, but they talk about kind of how the book came about. And it's a pretty magical
and their partnership,
story.
Their marriage, and all of it. It's all beautiful, beautiful mess. All of it, and they continue to inspire me from food to, and it's so cute, the back and forth of how they inspire each other. Like, I had no idea that Victoria's food stuff was inspired by Tamal. I had no idea.
I love it.
So awesome. So stay tuned. We're grateful for all of you. Please leave a review if you're grateful for us. And we want to see who's listening alongside us. So please share on social media, tag a D&I and or Ignited. We're all kind of connected. So just tag whichever one of us you remember. But we love to see what's resonating, what's magical, what you're listening to. And please share so we can all be connected.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. And by the way, by the time this comes out, our 21-day habit challenge is going on. But Ignited is doing something really exciting. We're offering our first family-specific program. So, I work in the addiction space. Family members have been asking me for years to do something to help them. If you're a loved one of somebody who's struggling with addiction and mental health struggles, and you want to know how to help them, but there's just too much out there, or you just love our orientation, you want to understand what would we say, what would I say to some of those things, I'm holding a first workshop called the Family SOS workshop. It's going to happen literally this Saturday or Sunday. You'll have to look. Sorry, I literally don't remember my own dates. But we'll have a link below. It's a pretty cheap sign up. It's easy to do. And we're doing it during the weekend specifically so you guys can come on in and check it out, even if you work, etc. It's specifically for family members who have somebody who's struggling and want help.
I've been watching and witnessing a D for years, and really his strong suit. I mean, he's great with all people struggling with addiction, but something special that he offers is the way he handles the families and supports the family members that have someone going through struggles with drugs or alcohol or addictions. And that's really special. Like that, it's a really special package that most people are like, oh yeah, we help the addict. I help the, This is a whole, holistic, whole offering.
Yeah.
For the whole family. I mean, everyone needs to heal. And all of us are through addiction going through our own challenges when a family member is affected. Like, what about them? Everyone has to go through it.
Yeah, and everybody has those questions like, when do I put up boundaries?
Yep.
Should I practice tough love? What should they even do for help? What if they don't want help? Do they have to be ready? Like, there's so many different questions. We got like literally 60 or 70 questions when I asked the people on our list already. So if you're in that kind of situation, look, it's...
How do they find it on the website?
So we'll have a link. It's ignitedrecovery.com/family-SOS. And we'll have a link right below here. I really welcome you guys. It's going to be a few hours of me presenting some information to really shift your perspective about their problem and also give you some immediate tools to help. Really, really excited about it. People have been asking it for literally for about 2 years. So I'm really happy to be able to do that. All right. Now
Awesome.
it's time.
Here we go.
See you on the other side.
Bye. This episode of the Ignited podcast is brought to you by Philosophie Superfoods. The Philosophie offers cleanses and other nutritional products that are unlike any of the other supplements and detoxification programs on the market. Why? Because they actually nourish the body with whole, live, nutrient-rich foods instead of depriving you and leaving you hungry. Have you ever tried a cleanse only to find out that you can't make it through a whole day because you're starving? Ever try a superfood shake that made you nauseous because it was so disgusting you'd rather not eat? The Philosophie fix all that with a simple set of offerings that load up your body with nutrients while actually tasting good. Makes sense, right? Each of the Philosophie superfood and protein blends is vegan, raw, gluten-free, and has absolutely no filler ingredients. With over 15,000 satisfied customers, including some of the world's biggest celebrities like George Clooney, Gerard Butler, Lea Michele, and over 10 years of experience, this is the best stuff you can get. To buy some or find out more info, go to our website, thephilosophy.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the conversation fireside chat portion of today's talk. Can we pretend there's a fire?
Yeah.
in between us?
Yeah, let's do it.
You know, like fireside
Warm
speak.
my hands up.
Oh,
Yeah.
warm them up.
Yeah.
It's not that cold outside. It rained a little in LA today, which is always awkward. We have dear friends in the house today, literally. Tamal and Victoria, welcome, first of all.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in here, despite, as we talked about beforehand, all the forces that conspired to make it weird.
Human.
Yeah,
It's just human.
it is. It's human. We're in Gratitude Month. You guys you're probably a little grateful that you have a brand new book that's coming
yeah.
out.
Super grateful.
Yep. The
You
yoga
wanna-
plate.
The yoga plate. You want to tell us a little bit? I don't even know if like starting out, you have Yoga Salt. Like there's so much stuff you guys have done. I mean, I remember going to your yoga studio here. when was it? 8 years ago? 9?
Yeah.
A long time ago. So your journey in yoga, both of your journeys in yoga has been a long one. What brought up this book?
Liz Arch.
Liz Arch, yeah. She's responsible. Do you want to tell the story?
Sure.
or
I
shall
was at lunch with Liz one day and she told me she just got a book deal and she asked me to do the photography for it. And I told her I don't really do photography anymore.
But you take beautiful photos, so you should.
But anyway, it led to, she was like, my agent is always looking for new projects. And so she's like, you should do a cookbook. And I was like, well, I actually have a cookbook that was like 90% written from my nourishment blog. But then I was talking to Tamal and I was like, we should really like do the yoga diet because nobody's ever done it.
I love that so
correctly.
much. Ugh.
So we just put a pitch together and I pitched it to Colleen and
Our agent.
our agent, Colleen, we love you.
Yes. Colleen.
And and the book was born.
Amazing.
That's awesome. That sounds so easy.
It just
It wasn't
it
easy.
wasn't easy. The
You
book
made it
proposal
sound
was
so
79 pages long.
It's like when you watch people on Instagram just float in a handstand. It looks so easy,
Yeah.
but it's really just not.
No.
Or like,
It's
here's
a
our
lot
new
of time.
baby. Look at, we're all so happy. And you go, where's the crying,
Yeah.
the pain, like all that. But because writing a book is, it's like the psychological and emotional equivalent of having a baby.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
have to say that I have a story about this.
Yeah, please.
It's more of like, it's not a story about me, it's about Pablo Picasso. So this woman, she walks into a store and she sees Pablo Picasso in a grocery store. How great would that be? She goes, oh my God, you're Pablo Picasso. Would you draw me a portrait? And she pulls out a paper and pen and hands it to him. And he says, sure. And in 30 seconds, he draws this perfect portrait of her. And as he hands it to her, he says, this will be $30,000. And she goes, Picasso, how could you charge me $30,000 for something that took you 30 seconds? And he said, because it took me 30 years to be able to do that in 30 seconds.
100%.
It looks easy, but it isn't. So that's like how the book is.
Yeah,
It's an accumulation of
everything. I mean, because everybody has, we hear this all. I have an idea for anything: a book, a business, a new yoga pose, a new yoga studio, a diet plan, a trip, a retreat. I have an
Goal. Yep.
Ideas. They're not even a dime a dozen. I think at this point they're like
he's the idea man.
a tenth of a dime, 1,000. It's so easy now to come up with ideas because we're exposed to so much.
Yeah.
But making something actually become a reality is, I mean, you use Picasso as a perfect example, like Rodin, or like you take an artist, you take a sculptor and like watch them take a piece of marble that to us could be anything. It could be a countertop, it could be whatever, and make it a human form that makes you feel like it's about to come alive.
Yeah.
There's hard work and talent. Like talent is not nearly enough. You have to be
Practice.
able to sit there
Yeah.
for hours when you have other things you'd rather do, and especially in the end, right? It gets the hardest. Like that last 10% of a book. It took me, my book is only 130 pages. I don't know how many yours is, but with the recipes and testing and the pictures, everything, it takes a long
Yeah,
time.
there's
to write a cookbook.
108
The
recipes
food,
in it
the food
alone.
Wow.
part. Yeah.
Of course, it was 108.
It was
Yeah.
fun.
As there should be.
108 recipes. Wait, for everybody who doesn't know the reference, because you just left people going like, why are they talking about 108?
108 is an auspicious number in yoga, and it keeps coming up. And it's a whole long story about the significance of 108, but it is something that is auspicious.
Yeah, it just keeps coming up. And isn't that also the temperature around, what's the thing about?
Close enough.
It was
For raw
118
food.
degrees.
Yeah, close enough.
118.
Also, all the is it 18s or in
18
in Judaism?
In Judaism, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's
Yeah.
like across
the
all
the ones and eights.
ones and
Yeah,
eights.
That's cool.
You'll
So you
find
got
it everywhere.
Yeah.
108 recipes. And you said, were these still a lot of the recipes, Victoria, that you had?
She's
kind of
had a
sitting
blog.
around
She's had
and
a
then-
blog, a beautiful blog for years, and took beautiful photos for them. And it was called Nourishment. And
Yeah, I used to teach cooking classes. And so I had this accumulation, but he actually taught me how to cook. When I met him, I did not know how to cook.
I didn't know that.
I had nothing in my
That's
refrigerator.
so beautiful. I didn't know that.
I had yogurt.
Yeah, I remember the first time I had bought tofu, and I wanted to see
wasn't a
her prepare
vegetarian.
it. And she was so nervous trying to prepare it in front of me. She cut open the package. You know, they come in those like plastic containers.
Yeah.
And she was trying to chop it while it was still in the
Yeah.
package.
She's like,
And I
why
was
not?
like, oh my goodness. We need to get a
was so-
cutting board and do it properly.
Yeah.
You know, plastic all in our food tonight.
yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So what brought the book together? Like what made these recipes into this book, this finished product now?
I think a lot of the things were already in existence because she had this incredible blog, this company called Nourishment, and she had already been interviewing and writing posts tailored around eating a plant-based diet, but also getting these incredible detailed discourses with people like John Robbins, who wrote Diet for New America, got all these people who've been longstanding pillars in the plant-based community. And so she had a lot of traction and a lot of energy coming from that. And she was posting a lot of her own personal recipes that she was creating, coming up with. So the book that you actually receive now has a lot of recipes that she has had in her catalog, things that she's been storing away for many years. Me, on the other hand, I drove her crazy through the whole process because even though I had recipes I used to make,
He doesn't write them down.
I don't write them down.
He doesn't measure.
No, I'm like, wing it, it turns out. And then when it came to me trying to measure,
Yeah.
it
It's
didn't
a
turn out.
disaster.
And
So
it's so
hard.
hard for me. And so I had to like relearn how to like remeasure and do that. But then I got in the habit of it. But then I didn't like the recipes anymore. So I'd start recreating. I'm like, we're going to make a Nutella cheesecake. She's like, you don't have that as a current recipe. I'm going to create it.
Yeah.
And so all the recipes I made are like brand new
that's
out of
amazing.
nowhere for the book.
They're amazing.
But yeah, it was a learning curve for me. For
It's
sure.
a funny thing. It's
It
a,
was
you
fun.
know, I can't cook like regular food. I'm a raw food, like a trained raw food chef.
Yeah.
So I don't measure anything. It's all based on, it's a creative,
It's
artistic, intuitive process, which is the exact opposite of baking and creating a cookbook for people to replicate.
Right, because most people who get a cookbook have to follow a recipe or want to.
Yeah.
Or,
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, so that they can experience what you're creating. And so I can totally understand. I feel that. Like,
It's something like you guys were saying a minute ago, though. It's kind of amazing when there's all things that you create, like in this world, all start from a thought, an idea, and then it turns into something that's a physical, tangible thing. But to make that happen is really challenging. And the cooking process was one of those things where it's fun, but
it's fun, and having a partner helps with that. Like, it helps. Because in partnership with a D, like the way that my ideas, like when people are like, oh, like what helped you to become la 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 la, whatever it is that they have created in their head that I am. And I'm like, well, really my husband, like that, he is the one that saw me and held space for me and supported me and helped my ideas actually come to life, because I'm not a finisher. I love to create things. I'm not a finisher. He maybe in his own world isn't a finisher, but in my world, he's like holds me accountable.
In my own world, I don't finish as many things as I want to. You and everybody else keeps telling me I'm actually finishing quite a few things.
You are.
But it's funny, even the recipes, like you were talking about not measuring, Green Dream. The way it started was Sophie would stand in our kitchen with like Tupperware, like big Tupperware. And she would mix the products together and like handshake. I'm shaking my hands right now for those of you who can't see what I'm doing. Like shake the Tupperware until it was well mixed. And made it like that for, I don't even know, like 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
I remember, because when you did Tamal's teacher training, you would bring them in like tall jars.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And you had them mixed.
And like written with a Sharpie, like
Yeah,
Green Dream,
I mean, it was like
8 ounces.
100%. So one day we were like, well, I think when Leo was born, we were like, okay, well, we have to start making these. Like somebody else has to start making them, because we need to put them in real bags, and to sell, technically, you sort of have to have a real kitchen to make them in.
Yeah.
There's all this, pesky little
Logical,
regulations from the law.
Yeah.
And Sophie's like, well, I don't know what's in them. Like she had no idea how much of what was in it. And so we went through this process. We went through this process where it was like, I would have her make it and then pause at every step, and I would go weigh and measure and do all the stuff that we needed to. And then we'd put it in the box, and she would adjust so that, it needs a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that. By the end, she would have the mixture, and she would make like 10 pounds of it or whatever the one time that we were doing it. And now we had a recipe. And that's how every flavor, every single thing.
But I would have given up. I would have given up.
Process.
I would have been like, no, you just get a custom blend. Like, I'm not, if it were up to me, like, I don't even know what the trajectory of my life would be without a D and his more scientific, logical, grounded energy. And like, again, it's two people create different energies together too. And like, he is my rock and I am his rock.
But what I love seeing even in your interaction right now is, to bring this back to kind of like gratitude, is this idea of, it's great to have everything in your head and it's wonderful, but then it stays in your head.
Yeah.
Nobody else gets to share it unless they are with you in the moment. And if you want other people to be able to benefit from these other things, like you get to benefit from it. And if we want more people to be exposed to it, there's got to be a way, a method to bringing it to life. And so, as Sophie just mentioned, like my gratitude for Sophie has always been that Sophie allows me to fly more. She allows me to experience parts of myself and see the world through a lens that I'd never even thought I'd be able to see it through. I would never have that without her.
Yeah.
I was stuck in the academic logic, what I'd call objective sort of way of assessing everything in the world for my entire life until a few years into our relationship. And so it's beautiful, the give and take in a relationship of what the other person brings is hopefully a lot of the stuff you wouldn't have been able to bring on your own.
Yeah. I mean, the other day on Saturday, I took Liz Arch's yoga class at 9 a.m. on Saturday at our studio. And at the end of the class, she said, we're going to take a moment of silence if you want to find a moment where you can have gratitude for something or someone in your life. And I'm going to get a little emotional with Victoria, but in my heart, I was like, I'm grateful for my wife and everything that she's done for me, and that she has pushed me to be not only a better father, but pushed me in spiritual directions that, otherwise I don't think I would be here without her. And really this book has been spawned from things that we've experienced in our own bodies, in our own lives, and on a very soulful level through not just eating, but the book is very philosophical, that we felt we were so grateful for everything that was in our own lives that we wanted to share it with the rest of the world as a form of gratitude and appreciation, and hoping that it'll inspire other people to feel the same.
Can you talk about that a little more? The link between the eating and the spiritual. You talk in the book, literally relinking with the spiritual, really relinking with God.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's this thing that is in our yoga community where we talk about yoga lifestyle, and we talk about the things that we want to do in our life that are yoga-esque, but very few people, even in the yoga community, even know what that lifestyle is or what it incorporates or what it entails. Most of us, because all we see is superficial things going around because of advertisements pushing yoga, we think, okay, well, yoga lifestyle is I got to wear the gear and I got to go to a class.
Yeah.
But really, there's so much more to it. And there is this incredible philosopher, sage named Patanjali, who centuries and centuries ago wrote down something called Patanjali's 8 Sutras. And really, it's 8 ways to live your life. Only one of them is asana, which is the physical postures. Everything else has to do with internal changes that turn you into a spiritual person, even if you're living in a material world wearing a material body, and how you can transform your life into something that is deeply infused with spiritual connection with God, also deeply infused with connections with other souls and other living entities around you. So one of the things he asks you to do, and the first thing is called ahimsa, which means how do I create the least amount of harm as possible? And since most of us don't go around just like killing people and things like that, they ask you to look at it in every facet of your life, not just how am I harming myself, but how am I indirectly harming other beings or creatures of this world? And it's tied to dietary habits. Most of us don't think about where our food comes from, but when we actually start to examine it, we realize that, well, a lot of us are eating meat products that came from a body of a living, breathing creature with feelings. And so this is one of the reasons when you go to India today that the majority of that country, there's 1 billion people living there, they live and eat a plant-based lifestyle because of this ahimsa, this pillar that's in yoga philosophy. So we try to show people this is the first thing he asks you to do. And one of the most incredible benefits of adopting this plant-based lifestyles, not only does it make you feel physically healthier and better, but it makes your connection with Mother Nature better as it decreases pollution, helps with the issues of world hunger. When you do things that are positive, it makes you positive. And so the whole entire book starts with 30 pages-ish of my story, my wife's story, how we met, and how we came into living and eating this plant-based lifestyle together. I was born and raised in a yoga ashram, so I've actually never eaten meat, fish, or eggs in my life. And people look at me like I'm an alien all the time. They're like, how are you alive? My son's dealing with that drama right now in North Carolina, where people are like, how is he okay?
Is he in 5th grade now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure in
Such a
North
sweetheart.
Carolina, they're like,
Yeah.
because in LA, at least, you can be surrounded by enough people that go, oh yeah, he's been vegan since
everybody
birth,
else.
and people
No
get
biggie.
it.
Right.
Every other person is either plant-based or they're flirting with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But they're very curious about his food. And
I'm sure.
he lets them taste it. And they're like, oh, that tastes just like...
Yeah, people are
Like
fascinated
regular
with,
food.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
funny. I just
Wow.
put that in quotes, but
Well, even at school, he's like, he used to get teased a little bit, and then he's very strong-willed, our son, which is very great. I'm very happy that he is such a strong-willed person,
not
because don't let
easily
people push him
influenced.
around or influence him very easily.
That's great.
He started to get all of his kids in his class. He nominated him to go plant-based for a week.
That is
And
adorable.
the kids are doing it.
That's
They're doing it.
adorable.
He keeps them
Totally did
accountable.
it.
He texts them, and they get back to
oh my
him.
god,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
And kids are loving it. They go, oh,
He's their
plant-based
coach.
food.
He's their life
Yes.
coach. He's like, you got this, man.
Yeah, he's an influencer already.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I love it.
And he's super strong.
You know, I like even the broader conversation about do the least harm, right? It's so easy to get away from that in today's world. And you mentioned marketing, you mentioned this materialistic undercurrent to everything that we do, everything. And it takes an awareness and a willingness to keep re-examining what you're
Continuously.
doing
Yeah.
instead of just running headfirst into what everybody tells you have to do. And I'm putting myself right in the middle of all that. It's so easy to tune into the messaging of, well, here's what you're supposed to look like, and here's what your days are supposed to be made of, and you know, this food will make you strong, or I mean, any specific kind of vertical, any angle in life, there's a ready-made 5,000 companies that are just ready to serve you their version of it. And it takes a lot of, I mean, we talked before about effort to make ideas into reality, but it takes a lot of effort on a daily basis to make and give the attention that you deserve, that the world deserves, to all these messages, and filter through them and say, well, let me think about this for a second. Does it make sense? Let me follow through. Let me go into the company. We deal with this with Sophie a lot through the influencer world, where here's the message that they're giving everybody. Let's dig in a little bit more and understand, what are they doing?
We take days to research companies, because what you see is not always what you get. On the flip side, some people have a bad connotation with a certain brand, and they're really doing great things in the world. Or vice versa is usually the majority, is that it looks okay from the outside, but it's just not as you get a little bit deeper. And so he's a researcher. So I use him for that immediately. I'm like, please look this up. Let me know. When I say 85% of the jobs that come my way now, I say no to, because it's when you go deeper. And then sometimes, you know, bigger messaging, like for example, the Tampax one. That was a bigger example of someone that's trying to bring good to certain people in the world that can't afford to go organic. Like they're going organic. Are they a big corporation? Yes. Would I prefer that like a little small company be on the shelves at Walmart? Yeah, I'm still fighting for them too. But the reality is, small town USA in the middle of the United States doesn't have access to that.
Right.
They have access to Walmart. They have access to, or, you know, fill in the blank. I would love for them to be filling their bodies and giving to their daughters something organic versus not. So that was my like bigger for the world, like less harm for the greater good of everyone versus like the people that live in places that can afford triple the amount of money for a tampon, right? So that's like bigger messaging, but we talked about it. And my partner and I decided, let's go after the thing that's like the greater good for everyone, not just for our little tiny LA elite community, which isn't realistic for the greater good.
It's so easy to get caught up in a cocoon. That's why I love the North Carolina conversation you're having, right? You can like hit your head on a vegan restaurant in LA, like by mistake, as you turn around, oh my God, I'm sorry, I got caught, you know, my hair got caught in your vegan restaurant. Like in North Carolina, that's a much bigger deal.
There is no vegan restaurant in our town.
There's
not one.
I'm actually surprised, because it's a pretty progressive town.
It's a very progressive
town.
town.
So we didn't even say, but Victoria and Tamal moved last year to North Carolina. And they opened a yoga stall, which is their yoga studio here in LA in Culver City. It's beautiful. It's just like a testament of their love, and you can feel it when you walk in the studio. And I need to go more often. This is me holding myself accountable. And they opened, you guys got the courage to move. And I think that's so beautiful. Their kids go to the same school. Their son went to the same school as Kai and Leo, a beautiful Waldorf school in LA. And I mean, I cry tears of gratitude every time I leave that school. Every time I leave with like my whole body being full of gratitude for finding that little world.
Gem.
That gem. And you guys trusted, like this was the right thing. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been going out to Wilmington, North Carolina with Victoria. She came for the first trip that I went out there. Years ago, there used to be a magazine. You probably remember it, guys. It was called Yogi Times.
Yeah.
And they did a whole article on me. And right after that, I started getting invited out to like all these, you know, studios all across the nation to teach workshops, because this was pre-Facebook, pre-Instagram, pre-social media. So that's kind of how things were done.
Yeah.
There was like publications in your hands when we used paper before.
Yeah, remember mailings? Remember magazines?
What is that? I don't know what a magazine is. So I went out to Wilmington because I was going to Raleigh as well to teach at a studio called Blue Lotus. And when we got there, we were like, wow, this is an amazingly beautiful beach town. I could totally live here.
Cute.
And then I was invited out every year for 12 years. And we always kept saying throughout the years, I could see us living there one day. And I kept going out. So eventually it came to this point where we're like, well, we're at the stage in our life where we have our son. He was 9 at the time. We could either stay here or we can move him out and have a place where he can really just run around and be a kid, and be in nature and stuff, and be by the beach.
And they get that at school, but then we live in LA.
Only in school.
Yeah.
You can ride your bike around the neighborhood, and all the kids just like run around to each other's houses.
It looks like a movie.
Yeah, the intercoastal waterway is the at the end of our road. So there's like docks and the kids go hang out there and like have little conversations and watch the little crabs in the water. And
Yeah.
it's amazing.
It's amazing. It's fun. It's so funny you say that because one of the things that we love most about this neighborhood we just moved into is if you look, you feel like you're in the middle of suburbia, even though you're 15 minutes from the airport. I never even heard of
We're
View Park in my
constantly
life.
confused where we are. We're like, where are we? Because
Absolutely.
it feels like small town USA, but we're right in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
Right.
You made that move. That's a huge move. Move to the other side of the country. I guess what I'm hearing is though you'd been there enough.
Yeah.
You felt the
Yeah.
connection. You knew it was the right place.
I was doing teacher trainings even out there. I'd be out
had
there
a
for a month
community.
at a time,
you had a
and all these
community.
things that
Yeah.
were going on. And
I love it.
yeah, and it's one of those things like you're talking
Simplify.
about gratitude. It's I always have to assess my life and like if you can't find something that you're grateful for every single day, then you're doing something wrong. You need to like do things in your life that rewire your trajectory so that you can wake up and go, okay, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for this. And if there's things that are happening in your life that you're not grateful for, you got to look back and say, well, why is this happening? What's this roadblock I'm hitting? Why am I stunted in my growth right now? So, you know, we wake up every day where we live in Wilmington, North Carolina. We're like,
So
oh my
blessed.
God, I'm so blessed.
So
Wake up,
blessed.
it's green everywhere.
Forest,
There's forest behind us.
clean air,
Yeah. And,
Ocean.
ocean, gorgeous.
But, you know, even when I was living in Los Angeles, we were living in a little house right off of Culver City, entering into Marina Del Rey. We still wake up every day grateful because, you know, we're blessed. Everything that we're given is this opportunity to serve and help other people grow. And we also get to sustain ourselves. Our family gets to have food and water, clothes on our back. And we have to look at the things, even if we didn't have much, because we've been through ups and downs as every relationship will have, highs and lows. We're in debt, poor, doing okay, this thing and that. We always found things to be grateful for, you know?
Yeah.
We teach this to our son. We talk to him about food and water and how there's people in this world who don't even have clean water to drink.
Yeah.
And teaching to appreciate the bare minimum things, like the baseline things in life, because we take them for granted. We're a privileged culture.
There's
First
I just
world.
read a Bruce Lee quote early this morning.
He's the man.
And he said, you know, don't give your children everything you didn't have as a child. Teach them everything you didn't know when you were younger.
Yeah.
That's great.
And that touches me on such a deep level because we tried. I mean, Sophie and I are pretty aware about that, right? Like, my dad worked his ass off, and he worked his ass off to get us stuff. And I get it, but he was never there. He was just never home. And we've done everything we could from like the moment Kai was born
And we keep improving. Like it's only gotten better. Like
to just to be home more first of all,
Right.
and then to spend more time with the kids,
With
like
them.
to have
Truly
more
with
deep
them.
conversations with them, to sit down. Like now I'm spending more time with Leo in particular, and because Kai seems like he's doing really, really well, but with Leo, like just like 20, 30 minutes of me and him time. Sometime last week it was 2 hours one day, but just the stuff that I really miss. Because as a kid, you're only missing the material things if other people taught you that you need to have the material things. You're not born aware that you need freaking brand new G.I. Joes every day. I don't know whatever the new toy is. I have no idea. I don't know what the new G.I. Joe equivalent is. Like you're
true,
not
though.
born looking for that stuff. Other
Legos are
people-
still big.
Yeah. Our kids love Legos. But like you're not born knowing you need that stuff.
No, our kids are actually fine. Don't ask for a single new thing unless they see it on TV or their friends are talking about it at school, which is rare. Like they don't know, they don't need things. They don't even think to ask for things because they're not exposed to very much media because of the Waldorf philosophy. And they just are so content in who they are. If no one tells them
But
they need
it is
something.
interesting to see how quick it happens.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if they're watching TV
One split
and
second.
those ads promise them the new bubble maker that
yeah.
you can walk into the bubble and
Mommy, I
in
want
a
the bubble
split
maker.
second they want
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
And to speak to what you were talking about earlier, Tamal, like it takes a lot of grounding
Yeah.
to say, I mean, around food.
And reminding
Like,
yourself.
I have to remind myself all the time because I'm a meat eater and I was almost exclusively a meat eater before I met Sophie. And now, I mean that 100, like, and I eat meat all the time.
Yeah.
I still eat meat regularly, but just so much of what we have at home now is
Also-
plant-based
Yeah.
that I just eat a lot more. Like, I don't know, I'm probably like 70% plant-based,
Yeah.
80% plant-based now,
Yeah,
whereas I
great.
barely had any of it before.
Yeah.
And the transition was and is still a kind of a continuing one. But the thing is, when I started researching and understanding where we got to this meat eating way of looking at things, part of it was because meat was an expensive commodity. It was a way to show that you had money.
Yeah.
If you
The
could
luxury.
afford the cows and you could afford somebody to butcher them, and you could, because it's expensive. I mean, we know it's expensive. Look, what is it like? Every pound of meat takes 10 gallons of water plus like the statistics are ridiculous.
Every pound of meat takes 2,500 gallons of water.
25. Sorry.
Yeah.
There you go.
And if
Crazy.
one cow to actually take to slaughter has to weigh 1,000 pounds, so you have to times 2,500 gallons of water times 1,000, it comes out to 2,500,000 gallons of water.
For one.
And you can float
one
an
cow.
entire
One
Navy
cow.
destroyer ship with all its planes and crew on it with just for the water for one cow.
Wow.
And now you think about California being in drought all the time, and you're like, well, we're also a dairy state.
With the
and a
biggest
meat
dairy and
state.
Right.
beef producer.
So you got to wonder if we had like
Yeah.
less cows here, would we still have a drought even, right? And so all this stuff kind of parlays into itself. And
Yeah.
then our friends are firefighters. So here's where like that first thing becomes such a big, that first principle that you had mentioned becomes such a big deal is you eat the meat because you went to the restaurant and you have a really amazing steak for $70 and because fucking prices are ridiculous with everything now. So you have the piece of meat and you're like, I had a great night. And that's what you think of. But if you think about and you project it outward and you think to yourself, you know, I had 1 pound of meat, that's 2,500 gallons of water. A bunch of other people here are doing the same thing. That means we're in drought. That means there's going to be more fires. More fires is, you know, our friend has more work, but as a firefighter,
And taken
trying
away
to
from
save
his
people's
family.
lives.
Yeah.
And but I'm thinking like, you know, we're having the fires that are happening in California are just insane.
Out of control.
Year after year, they keep having the conversation of just how ridiculous the fires are, and it just keeps getting worse and worse.
But no
and
one's
worse.
doing anything about it.
Well, people are trying to do stuff, but what we're talking about here is like
People are just
bring
not
it back
educated.
to basic.
Yeah.
Bring it back to something much, much more basic, which is
Eat less meat.
thinking of what you're eating as affecting forest fires in California. That's for a lot of people, that's a big trajectory. But if we start connecting to that and you think to yourself, well, if I cut back on meat and everybody cuts back on meat, do we have less fires?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, that's
It does.
a big
I watched
deal.
I went to a documentary with a friend last week, my buddy Kevin Justice, and we watched this documentary called Ice on Fire. And the whole thing, they showed the fires in California and what was going on. And it all has to do with, obviously, you know, global warming and things. But the top 3 things in this world that cause global warming, one of the very top 3 is animal agriculture. So it goes exactly what you're saying, that, you know, where it's dry, it's going to get drier and hotter, more fires. Where it's wetter, it's going to get wetter and more messed up. So where it's more humid, it's going to get even more humid. The whole world's going to go out of balance unless we
Extremes.
start making active changes. And things like you're saying, like I completely support everything you're saying when you're like, well, now I'm like 70 or 80% plant-based. Yeah, we're not telling everybody, go plant-based today. Usually everything has to happen in stages
baby
in life. Just
Well,
like,
that's the way it's sustainable.
yeah. And also we're like with children, you know, a kid is laying on its belly doing tummy time, you know, arching its back. We're not saying, get up and walk right now.
Yeah.
It's going to go in stages. They're going to get up and start rocking
10 minutes
on all
of tummy
fours,
time. Yeah.
And they start taking little crawls. Then eventually they're standing and they start looking at you like, oh, it's getting real. And that's like the 70, 80% stage where somebody's plant-based. And then they start taking steps. And then they're 90. Then they start running. And then they're 100.
Yeah.
It's like that. We encourage people in literal baby steps.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that a lot. And again, to bring it back to how are my actions affecting other people? How are they affecting the world? You know, because that is, in the end, I always think about this. I personally believe that even in large corporations, even in these entities that we think of as potentially evil and you know, propagating destruction, etc., I think that when we look definitely at the origin, but even currently at their overall system, the vast majority of what's happening with it is either naive or just looking at the world through a very different lens, a very different perspective. And so for me, we need to have more conversations that connect us all in some way, that explain to all of us how all of our actions are connected.
Yeah.
And if we don't start all paying attention, then we're all going to be impacted, just because, look, if you had all the money in the world,
Your children are going to be impacted.
yeah. And if you had everything in the world, right? You had literally all the money in the world, all the food in the world was yours. You're the only person. You're the king of everything. The amount of misery that is living beneath you is making it so that you're isolated now. You're still, you might have everything, but everybody else is suffering, right? At the pinnacle, like, because we're so much about materialism. Everybody wants more. You want the bigger car and the more expensive thing and the private jet. I mean, we live in LA, so it gets to those levels, right? And
Bigger, better, better.
always, constantly. And if you think about it, it's not that it all comes at the price of somebody else. I don't think it has to, but you better think about it. You better have a real internal assessment of how are my actions impacting everybody else? Because we are all connected.
Yeah. Like every flight, everything connects and affects someone or something else on our planet. It does. And just the awareness. And then once you have awareness, you can make decisions from that place.
Right. I mean, everything in life is, every action has an equal reaction. It's karma, right? And, it's something you were talking about earlier is that you don't teach your children what you have, teach them what you didn't have, right? I think that's the majority of the world right now is the reason they don't understand the correlations between what they eat and how it affects the environment is because they were never given that information.
Absolutely.
Their parents have only been passing down what they had.
They
weren't
have
teaching what they
and it's a disconnect.
didn't have.
It's a disconnect. There's no connection. You go and buy the thing and it's already done and then you leave and it's
That's
our
what their parents
fast-paced
did,
society. Yeah, it's this society. That's the problem is that we're not educating about these things.
But once you have this realization, I've made these correlations and I've tied all these different connections together and I've connected the dots, I feel like the thing that you can be the most grateful for and the thing that I feel is the most fulfilling in this world is helping other people become fulfilled. And, since we're talking about gratitude, that's one of the things we're doing with this book. And hopefully it inspires other people to share it. And then they can experience that same gratitude. It becomes this ripple effect. Like you're saying, Sophie, everything has a reaction. Well, there can be positive reactions or negative reactions. We have to have that positive chain reaction.
Can I ask you a question? So we're coming up on Thanksgiving. And it's such a perfect fit with gratitude in there. And I think that's one of those holidays. It's a really gluttonous holiday, right? It's it's really bizarre always to me. We just had this conversation around Labor Day. It's weird to me that Labor Day, which was there originally to celebrate laborers who work really, really hard and toil, has essentially become a day for upper middle class people who have money to use laborers more so they can party and have a long weekend. It's sort of what it's become, which is upsetting because it's the antithesis of the point. I think Thanksgiving sometimes is the same.
Oh, yeah.
I work in the addiction and mental health space. Thanksgiving is a really difficult holiday for a lot of people because it's where families feel obligated to get together to eat more food than they normally eat in a week in 2 sittings because you eat the 3:00 meal and then everybody kind of comes back at 7 or 8 to try to eat some more. And so it's emotionally draining for a lot of people because it's supposed to be about giving thanks, but what it ends up being about is this fake sort of how do we get together and pretend like we appreciate where we are? How do we tie in? And then obviously a lot of consumption, right? Yeah. So consumption of meat, primarily turkey and ham and all that kind of stuff. But it's that's what the holiday has become. How do we tie in what in your book in particular, the principles of yoga that you guys are so such an example of ties into for people to be able to bring in more plant-based foods to that holiday, because to me what a way to start experiencing this is what I learned from Sophie is there's a lot of vegan and plant-based replacements. The ones you become aware of them and you actually try them out. Sophie got me in through the desserts when we first met,
gateway drug. She knows what's up.
100%. A vegan tiramisu will make you do handstands even if you can't. Because it's amazing. Yeah. So you have that and you go, wait, that was vegan? What else is there? So what are some examples of the stuff that you guys have in there, both principles and recipes that would work for that?
I think Victoria's got some amazing kale salads that are very festive that are in there that go along with it.
Potatoes.
Yeah, there's also so many desserts that are in there. There's
the
crumbles.
I don't even know.
There's vegan cheesecakes, apple pie, things that go well, but they're all good for you. It's Victoria wrote this whole section in the book that talks about when you feel good, you do good. And it's very ironic when we wrap up the year that we're in with eating as much as you guys were saying, drinking as much, and you go into the new year just feeling like shit. Totally. And yet you're supposed to go into it being positive and making all these declarations. I'm going to do this year, but my God, I gained 20 pounds and I feel like shit, but I'm supposed to be happy. If you finish this year with feeling good and helping other people feeling good, you're going to go to the next year compounding off of that and doing even better. Anything you want to add to that, Victoria?
No, I was just going to talk about quota. You know how everyone is allotted a certain quota. And so you don't want to eat more than what you're allotted. And I mean, maybe you can articulate this a little bit better, but like animals in the animal world, they only eat their quota, right? They can't go to the grocery store or stop at Cafe Gratitude.
I saw a zebra in the store the other day at Air One, and he walked out. It was too expensive for him.
He's like, I'm out of here.
No, $18 pints of ice cream.
And it's exactly what she's saying. They've done. I don't know if you guys read any books by animal behavioralists, but you'll see that if there's a lion that's in, let's say, Africa, and he goes to a watering hole, and he's hungry. You know, they do that like little scapula movements, and they're like getting ready to tear somebody up. Even before the zebras and all the other animals see him, they can feel the energy. And you see them do that thing where their head sticks up. They look around all nervously, and they're like, boom, boom. They get the hell out of there. And then all of a sudden the lion comes out. He's like, rah, and he goes. But they've studied that same lion, if he's full, can go to the watering hole and drink next to a zebra that he normally would kill, just as close as Sophie and I are from each other right now. And they'll be like, hey, what's up? And they won't run because they know he won't kill them unnecessarily outside of his quota.
Yeah.
But the irony is they found that whenever a human being goes to that watering hole, whether he's full or hungry, they always run.
Yeah.
Because they can sense that we're unpredictable, crazy creatures that will, step outside our quota.
Unpredictable. We're predictably selfish and gluttonous. Yeah. It's like, because unpredictable, at least sometimes we would just be selfless and broadly general and generous, I mean. But you hear, like, there's so many stories, both of just literally gluttony, like poachers going and chopping animals.
The last white rhino I've killed, I paid $100,000. Now there's none of them left.
Yeah.
Fuck,
Insanity.
Like, literally, this is going back to that, I want the jet, I want the thing. It's like almost, you have to prove yourself, and the only way to prove yourself is to do something that is not allowed to do, that the vast majority of humans couldn't do it. It's like back to fucking Roman Caesar times, like, I will rule this universe and rape all the women and murder all the children just to show you that I can.
Yeah.
And there's no need. And what's upsetting about it is, when you think, again, I'm bringing it back to that first principle that you mentioned, the harm, if you just isolate it to that single incident, you can think that the harm is pretty small. It's one animal, I'm one person. What happens is the implications, the ripple effects of the fact that is now an industry, poaching and hunting, and places where literally people will steal animals who are almost extinct to provide them as kind of fake fucking hunting. Like, you're not even a fucking hunter. You want to be a hunter, take a knife. Good luck.
Literally.
Well, yeah, if most people had to go slaughter the animal,
It'd be terrifying for them.
and clean it,
But I'm saying, like,
they wouldn't eat it.
80% wouldn't.
100%.
Yeah.
It's just, but that's what I'm saying is, like, we've just fooled ourselves into, you're not a hunter.
Yeah.
You're showing off that you have a bunch of fucking money, and somebody gave you a rifle with a scope and said the animal is over there.
Yeah.
I found it for you. Aim at it. I gave you a scope that allows you to do it from 3 miles away, so the animal will never know you're there.
Exactly.
It's like this bullshit way of feeling stronger than we are, instead of the
power
opposite
thing.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about the lion, I wonder what ways, for people listening right now, like, to just connect at that really core level to what is it that you're doing that is actually feeding you, that is actually making your life better right now, and what is it that you're doing so that other people will appreciate you more and will think better of you and congratulate you tomorrow, because that'll feed your ego, right? Like, if we can start separating that stuff out, my notion is that a lot of us have things that we could just start eliminating, just things that we could take out. Sophie asked me this the other day. I wasn't planning on talking about this at all, but we have a new house. And one of the things that pisses me off the most, or upsets me the most, not pisses me off the most, online is, I do all this addiction work, and people always pretend like it's all about the money. My internal joke is I barely make any money doing any of the work that I do. Almost all of it goes back into the work. And I was joking that now we have this new house, and people are going to be like, you see, I told you, you're like this multi-millionaire doctor. None of it is my money. It's all Sophie's work.
Yeah.
Like, all of it is Sophie's work. She was able to get us this house. And I remember that the first time this is the first time I'm talking about it publicly, but like the first thing that happened was this emasculate emasculating, sort of like,
Yeah.
I'm not the man, I'm not supporting. That's the thing that first came up. And Sophie and I were, she's like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what do you
Doesn't
care?
matter. You're together.
But
We're here.
it's this. He has
It's
to
a
learn.
block.
It's over time. It's like society has taught him this is the way it is to be a man and to provide for your family and to be a good father and a good husband. And so it's been this unlearning, right? We're always unlearning through our lifetimes. And we've been doing this kind of shift of me making more than a D over the last few years. Is like it happened
3 years,
slowly, and it's and a D, I keep encouraging a D to follow what he loves, and doesn't matter. Like we're fine. And even before we were necessarily fine, I was like, we're gonna be fine.
Exactly.
And so just take the leap. And he quit his mini jobs and started a rehab and was doing what he loved. And then it wasn't what he loved anymore. And it started stressing him out. And I said, so leave and work from home. And he's like, I can't. I'm like, leave and work from home and we'll figure it out. And he did. And we were not just fine. We started thriving. And when you follow your joy and you follow what makes you grateful and you follow what you're here to really do, that's what matters. And the rest of the universe will conspire to make everything okay.
Yeah. Including going to the other side of the country because
we
it just
moved.
feels.
We wrote a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we hope the book inspires a lot of people. We kind of kept the recipes very entry level and simple.
Okay.
So that
Good.
really I did a couple of veg fests in North Carolina.
What is
And
that? What do you mean?
Like a vegan festival.
Got it. Yeah.
vegan festival. And the response was, oh, I love your book. The list of ingredients is so short that,
People hate it when there's 100 ingredients.
Yeah.
and they were
It's a turnoff.
simple you could get at any grocery store.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Irish moss and like all these crazy
Exactly. But at this point, that's what it has to be in this society, like the way that things are so fast paced. And also I want to just note my biggest kind of question mark. I was so curious when I got into yoga at 18, like moved to LA, I became vegan for health reasons. And I just didn't understand the way yogis ate. Like a lot of them maybe were quote unquote plant-based or quote unquote vegan, but they didn't eat well. They ate really
Terrible.
badly.
Oh, yeah.
Like a bag of chips. I'm like, I would never sit and eat Doritos. Like, what are you doing? You're a yogi. And it wasn't from a judgmental place. It was truly a question mark of curiosity. Like
And concern.
concern. Yeah, you're pretty pale. But
Why are you eating Oreos and Pepsi? What's going on? I know it's vegan.
10 a.m.
Fucking Oreos are vegan. The number of vegans I've seen munching on Oreos, I was like, shut the fuck. Like, I know I'm not supposed to eat that.
It was so perplexing, and it still is. There's a disconnect, and I think that
everyone just needs to get back to the roots.
get back to the roots and just
simple.
Did you
less
find that
more.
going to a place like this beach town in North Carolina, did that help you connect even more?
100%. I mean, it's just, we moved there to slow down, simplify. We also didn't want Kanai growing up here. And, your association is huge. Who you hang out with. You become like who you hang out with.
Absolutely.
So we're actually moving a lot of people out there.
yeah.
We've migrated
moving
half
our
of Los
whole
Angeles to Wilmington, North
Yeah.
Carolina at this point.
So now you're just essentially picking who you want to hang out with
Yeah.
and you're making them move.
Yeah.
Very
to the-
yeah.
Yeah,
I tried to
station
get you
move.
guys to do it. I talked to
know.
Sophie. I was like,
We were
"Come
close,
on,
man.
we're
We
gonna
were
go
really
to the
close.
I'm
town.
gonna
That's
get you
right.
guys to get a secondary summer
Yeah.
house out there.
You're
you
joking. You're
You would
joking,
love
but
it.
I
I'm
said
not
that
joking.
earlier. I was
No.
like, because we go out to the beaches on the East Coast a lot. To have our own place would be amazing.
Yeah.
Wait till you go to the Wilmington. You're gonna freak out.
Can't wait. I actually haven't
Yeah.
been since I was a kid, so I don't even remember. I lived in North Carolina
We
for
have a guest
2
house
years.
Anytime you want.
Done. We'll be there next
Guest
week.
room.
All right, I'd say next trip, but like our September and October are so insane. But
Yeah, we'll
after
come
that,
around Thanksgiving. Yeah, perfect.
I love it.
Come have a
We'll
plant-based
celebrate. We'll
Thanksgiving with
celebrate
us.
the episode.
The podcast. Yeah.
I love this. I feel like we could talk for another hour and a half. Do you guys, let me ask, I just want to turn to you for a second before we even get into our 5 questions. Now, living the way you've lived, having this book, what, in this moment of gratitude, like this is, everybody's focusing on it, the holiday of gratitude is coming up. Any quick tips for people in terms of, I said, whatever you can do to tune in, anything that you guys, from your wisdom, can share with people to make it maybe easier or give somebody a way to just lock into their internal gratitude and their direction better?
I mean, I think you should be grateful every day. It shouldn't just be focused on one day or, the big holidays of the year. Yeah. It's an everyday
practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
I've got my 5-minute journal that I do every morning for that reason.
Yeah, I think that, if you can find one thing you're grateful for every single day, you can just find one thing. It can even be the same thing that you're continually grateful for. That's going to be absolutely essential and important for your overall well-being and your feeling of happiness throughout the day. And when it comes to Thanksgiving, I say find the things that you normally would make. Like, most people want to just get a bunch of potatoes, throw a ton of butter and sour cream or whatever in there. We can have something that tastes insanely delicious. Do cauliflower mashed potatoes. And don't have to do every single dish that you normally make plant-based. If you're feeling like, I don't know yet, add one new one.
Yeah.
One new one and see what the rest of your family thinks about it. And what could be more fulfilling, I think, as far as gratitude goes than, we always go, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my job. I'm grateful for this. These are all great. But what if you're grateful every year and you go, I'm grateful that I'm helping sustain this world that is home for everyone. I'm actively trying to make changes in my life that are going to sustain this world for our children and their children and their children. I'm grateful for these decisions and grateful for this plant-based food that is so nourishing and delicious, that is actually having an impact, whether I'm seeing it right here or not.
Yeah, I love that. I always love the idea of stop thinking about the end goal of where you have to make it to, and take one little tiny incremental step in that direction. And I mean, even, Tony Robbins has this quote that I love, which is everybody greatly overestimates what they can get done in a year and greatly underestimates what they can get done in a decade. Play a little bit more of the long game in your life, right? Any of these, you said one dish, but imagine if every month, every couple of months, you make a tiny little shift. And again, tie it back to what we were talking about in the big picture. Like, every time you eat 2 hamburgers, 2,500 to 4,000 gallons of water. So removing one of those a month from your diet. One of those a month.
Yep.
4,000. Imagine if every listener, we got 5 to 10,000 listeners to this thing. Imagine if everybody just dropped one hamburger a month.
Yeah, one hamburger is actually 6 months worth of showers.
6 months worth
there you go.
I was just
let's
thinking
fix
about
the drought in in one shift.
Limit outdoor watering, severe drought. When really, let's skip the hamburger.
That's
both. That's the thing. Sure. Both. Turn when you're brushing your teeth, turn the water off. Turn off the light. There's just so much we can do, and it's so little. It's so little.
Yeah, I love that. So think of that in general in life, but especially right now as we're talking about kind of this huge implications. What little shift can you do? And now that we understand the cascading effect of that, it's almost like that butterfly effect kind of concept, right? What seems to you like a tiny shift might have massive implications, especially if you live in a family and you cutting down a hamburger means that the whole family is not having burgers that day. And then all of a sudden you save 1.5 years worth of showers for your family, which is literally by one meal change. That's insane to think about.
The ramifications are just so great when it seems so small, but it's so huge.
Massive. It's massive. And our friend Duncan, who's a firefighter, he's lost buddies who died in these fires. People's lives are lost every year because of these fires.
Absolutely.
So we can not only save lives by reducing your hypertension and cholesterol and all that other stuff, but we can also do it by reducing actual harm that comes to people.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much.
We love you guys.
Welcome. Thank you.
So we have 5 questions.
Yeah. Yes.
We ask everybody. So if you want to take the first one.
Sure. What is the greatest advice that you've ever received?
The greatest advice I've ever received? Well, there's a lot of things that I've received, but I want to say that growing up in ashram, one of the key things that stuck with me forever is, as a child, my father, who ran this whole program, he'd reiterate to me continuously, he'd say, if you don't share what you've learned here, you're a thief. So life in general, you have to share. If you got some knowledge, some wisdom, something that you know is going to help other people, you have to regurgitate it. You have to share it.
That's so good.
Victoria? For 2 shares over here.
We're overshares, but now you made me feel good about that.
The greatest advice, I don't know. Having met Tamal and just literally changing my life from, I wasn't a vegetarian. I was definitely searching for, a spiritual life. And he just led me in the direction, and everything that I've learned. It's kind of an accumulation. I don't know if there's one.
I love that, Tamal, you credited Victoria with leading you towards spiritual existence that you wouldn't have reached otherwise, and that it goes both ways. Is really beautiful. I love that. What has been your proudest moment?
I don't think there should be a proudest moment. I personally think that you should live your life so that at the very end of your life, you can say that my entire work here on this earth has been something that has bettered the humanity, bettered the community, and bettered other people's lives. And so that it's not a single moment that you can encapsulate, but hopefully a lifetime of work. And, it's fine if there's been dark periods and things like that. You can't be that guy who is like, you visualize people who are on a wagon traveling to the west and one guy fell off the wagon. You don't want to be the guy who's laying on his back saying, help, I fell. You got to get back up and hop back on that wagon. So even we all have dark periods. I've had dark periods. We've all had ups and downs. But to note that the big scheme of life, the big picture, and the last part of everything that you've done, the encapsulation of your work is that you were a servant.
Love that.
Beautiful.
Victoria, do you have anything?
No, I would just say, and I wouldn't say this as a proud moment, but anytime that you can affect another human being with change in a positive way, especially in their spiritual life, is like nectar to me.
Yeah.
So
I think that's such a huge emphasis too. We always talk about spiritual life because so much of the yoga world's about working out your butt, your legs, and all these things. But if you're not doing the internal work, you're never going to be actually even physically as healthy as you want to be.
So true. You mentioned some dark periods. What has brought on the darkness sometimes? What has been one of the darkest periods that you've...
Well, for me, I can say that even in yoga philosophy, they talk about it, that we're all spiritual beings. I have this Sanskrit writing in all of our yoga studios. It's very important to me. It says aham brahmasmi, which means I am a soul, I am a spirit. But they talk about in depth in the Vedas. Veda means knowledge, and there are these vast yogic writings that you couldn't even fill your entire upstairs kitchen and living room with floor to ceiling. There's over 5,000 of them. But the essence of the Vedas, the cream of it all says, I am a spirit, I am a soul that is temporarily encased in matter. And I think that I am this material being. I think that material things are going to be the source of happiness. So my dark periods have come where I've lost track of the big picture of, that I'm a soul and I'm supposed to help other people realize that they're a soul. And I've come to this conclusion, well, I'm the body and material things are going to make me happy. Like you're saying, we want the next jet, we want this. That all happens because we're misidentifying. We think I'm a body, a material being, and material things are going to be my happiness. When we realize that I'm a spiritual being and only spiritual things can satisfy a spiritual being, will I ever be happy? So it's the only times where I lose track and I fall short of real spiritual life, a real spiritual realization, that I get into those dark periods and that have had negative ramifications in my life and others.
I could see that. Thank you. Anything that's brought up darkness for you, Victoria?
Like the hardest
darkness.
just hard times in your life. If there's something that
the first thing that pops into my head is when I was a teenager and just going through the teens. So,
yes.
And just being completely lost, not knowing who you are, what all this means. But I don't have anything in particular that's just kind of what came to mind.
All right.
So our fourth question is all about self-care. What do you do maybe on the daily basis, or just something that brings you back to a feeling of alignment? Obviously,
and that allows
yoga.
You to do all this stuff. I mean, you're in gratitude, but and you're tied in, you're locked into the spiritual way of living, but it takes a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
So how do you guys take care of yourselves for that?
Japa meditation.
Meditation, prayer, which is a huge part of it. Svadhyaya, introspection. You always have to assess yourself. You got to be like, what are my bad habits? What are the things I need to change? It's so easy to look at somebody else, go, hey, you got this problem, you got that, but you got to always look at yourself in the mirror. I also been really looking at a lot of these Stoic philosophers lately, and there's this guy named Epictetus. His name means to be acquired. He was a slave. His name literally was to be acquired. Shows you what kind of life he had to live.
Wow.
Not so great. But he said something very profound. He said that we're not traumatized by the events that happen in our life. We are traumatized by our own opinions about those events that happened in our life. So one of the things that you can do to continually heal and continually move forward is to change your opinions about things. For instance, I shared this with some friends the other night. My father was adopted when he was 3 in Japan right after World War II, was horrendously abused by his colonel father and experienced some of the most intense trauma that people would associate in this world, like just the worst stuff ever. Being tied to beds and being beaten with, fiberglass fishing poles, his arms being broken, and just terrible. I could go on and on about the horrible abuse. When he was in his 40s, he got a phone call saying, "Hey, we found your birth mother in Japan and she wants to see you. Would you like to see her?" And he said, "Absolutely." He flies to Japan. He sees this old Japanese woman. She's bawling and crying, and she hugs him, and he hugs her, and she says, "I'm so sorry." And he said, "No, I just want to thank you for everything you did for me." And she goes, "What are you talking about? You got adopted. You went through this horrendous heartbreak. You were severely abused for so many years, all these things." And he said, "No, if you didn't put me up for adoption and I didn't experience heartbreak and all this horrible abuse, I never would have gone on a spiritual journey and never would have found the meaning of life. And it's because of you that I have found the meaning of life and I have found real success here."
Wow.
So you have to change your opinions, change your dialogue.
Man, I talk to people about it all the time with that fucking story.
Mic drop.
That's intense. Yeah.
It's perspective. It's
all about
perspective.
Always.
And it's like in my work too, I coach people all the time, even like just my friends. It's like, it's all perspective, but they have to see it themselves. You have to want to change your mind. You have to want to see things differently.
And the internal value your dad holds for himself, right? So other people go through that abuse and start thinking there's something wrong with me. And they internalize, the only reason somebody would do this to me is because I am not worthy, I am broken, and they walk around feeling like a shell. But that's their own self-evaluation of their self-worth being brought in through outside circumstances, sure. But to be able to stand there proudly and recognize, you know what, I am who I am because of what I've been through. And I appreciate and applaud and at the deepest layers understand that without those experiences, I wouldn't become the man that I'm proud of being today. It's a big thing for a lot of people to have that perspective after going through terrible trauma.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Last question. This podcast is called Ignited. What ignites you?
Helping people.
I was going to say,
Spiritually.
same thing. Helping people, uplift people's consciousness, even in the smallest ways. It's something we talk about all the time, how it's nice when we go to a place like Wilmington, North Carolina, because everyone smiles and says hi. And even that tiny little gesture of people saying, "Hey, how you doing?" It actually took us off guard the first time we moved to Wilmington. We're like, "What do you want from me?"
Yeah.
Because in LA, your neighborhood's great. It's like a little bubble where people are doing that. But most of LA people don't look at you. And if they do, they look at you like, "What the hell's the matter? What do you want from me?"
And no matter what neighborhood you're in, by the way, it doesn't matter if you're in Venice or I'm sure this happens in other big cities, but like we were in a very Jewish neighborhood, a very religious neighborhood, Pico and Robertson, that's where we were living. And we're not very religious. So I'm spiritual, but we're not very religious. He comes from Israel. And so he considered himself secular, but then realizes because he grew up in Tel Aviv, they celebrate Shabbat and certain things that make you more religious, quote unquote. We're very spiritual, not very religious. So when we're in this town, like you expect, they're very religious families.
Just isolationist.
Nothing. Like, look at me like I am a crazy person. And, I even say hi. I would say hi and they wouldn't even say hi sometimes. I'm like, wow.
Well, Sophie, you're also one of the most loving people who hugs and gives everyone joy all day long.
And it's like too much. They're like the repression and and I can see it in their eyes, their sadness, their repression. There's so much and it breaks my heart. But being around people, like this is what's normal. This is what should be normal, quote unquote, should be saying hello and looking each other in the eyes. Like that's the bare minimum of what we deserve as human beings.
Looking out for each other.
Yeah,
During the
looking out-
hurricane last year, like all the neighbors, like we evacuated and some people stayed behind and our front doors blew open and they're texting us immediately and in our house with sandbags and, you know,
Community,
just-
real community and connection.
Yeah, and you see people. I used to look at Victoria when I first met her because she's always so friendly. She's like you, just always so giving people love, and I've learned a lot from that. Even now when we go to restaurants and I sign my little credit card receipt, I always write something nice for the waiter or waitress, and she's now laughing. But it's something I'm like, well, you got to always. You're not just giving them money, but
Make their moment.
Make their moment. Make their day.
Like radical acts of like why are we, or like random acts of kindness? Why are we just doing that when someone prompts us to? We should be doing that all day, every day. It's like Thanksgiving, right? We don't need a day to be grateful. Every single day, let's find something to be grateful for.
Be grateful for your server. Be grateful for the person that checked you out at the grocery store. Be grateful for the car you're driving. Be grateful for the children, your teachers, your friends, your family, the stranger on the street.
Your bed. Yeah.
Love it.
There's so much.
That's awesome. We're going to make it all about gratitude. I love it.
All gratitude.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for
Coming
being on
over.
this podcast.
Yeah.
We love you guys.
for you guys.
Thank you for your love in the world.
We'll put links to all the stuff, the books, the yoga studios, all that stuff, so people can connect with you in other ways. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Ignited podcast. We were so happy to have you along for this ride. Please go and subscribe to this. Leave us a review. We love hearing from you. And if you want more, don't forget to go to ignited.com, where all the podcast episodes are available with show notes and so many of the little details and links from each one of these interviews. And you can look at all the future events that we have going on, all the things that make Ignited so special, even beyond this recording. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week.